Happy Saturday. My name is Stacey Leanne. I love makeup, I love true stories, and I'm a huge horror fan. So if that sounds like you should give me a little subscribe, maybe a like, maybe a share, help a girl out. Firstly, I just wanted to congratulate my baby brother Ben and Emily on their engagement. I am so excited for you guys. I love you so much. This is so exciting. This week we are talking about one of my absolute favourites, Terrifier, and the icon, which is Art the Clown. I love Terrifier. This was such a fun video to research. Clearly, I love Terrifier. This week I am going to go in with my Divination palette. This is from Blend Bunny and Robert Welsh. I love Robert. He's super talented and this palette is absolutely gorgeous. So let's get into it. If you don't know, Art the Clown was created by the beautifully wonderful weird mind of Damien, Leone, and the character first appeared in the short films The Ninth Circle in 2008 and Terrifier in 2011. Both shorts were included in the anthology film All Hallows Eve in 2013, which honestly is like a fever dream when you watch it. And honestly, I sat there for a while like, what did I just watch? And this marked Art's feature film debut. I actually think I watched The Terrifier first, loved it, and then watched All Hallows Eve. In Art's first appearance, he was portrayed by Mike Gianelli before retiring, and he was replaced with David Howard Thornton. Just excellent casting. He is like such the perfect actor for Art, I think. He portrayed Art in Terrifier 1, 2 and 3, and he was also in a music video for a metal band called Ice Nine Kills, a work of art which was commissioned as the theme song in Terrifier 3. So Art was actually created by testing out different horror concepts, and the audiences most responded to Art. Leone then developed the character into a recurring slasher icon. Although not much is known about Art's background, but there are theories at the end of this video, all of his appearances show him with supernatural abilities. His final girl, Sienna Shaw, played by Lauren Lavera, with Leone writing Sienna and Art to reflect the undertones of good versus evil. Leone's idea of Art originated from his concept of a woman getting off work, taking the bus home, where a clown gets on and starts to taunt her. He envisioned the character as a combination of being uncomfortable and comedic to viewers, and he absolutely did. He envisioned the character as a mix of being uncomfortable with it also being comedic, and I think he absolutely nailed it. And Art just becomes progressively more intimidating and aggressive. So after the release of All Hallows Eve, Leone wanted to create a feature-length film that focused solely on Art, as he believed the 2010s just lacked an iconic horror villain, and in particular a clown. He aimed to make Art kind of the opposite of Pennywise the dancing clown, both in character and appearance. Art is bold, he doesn't speak, he wears very muted colours, which is in contrast to silent killers like Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees. Art is expressive and he conveys emotion. He also seems to enjoy playing with his victims. He likes the games where typical slashers are more straight to the point. So let's talk about the killings. These are not for the faint of heart. The deaths are over the top and visceral in finding new ways to unsettle us horror fans who think, you know, we've seen it all. I don't think there's a horror movie I've ever had to turn away from, except Green Inferno. That still freaks me out. But Damien Leone really said, hold my beer. The scene in Terrifier I with Dawn, it was definitely one of those defining moments in Terrifier, and holy shit, it's one of those things where you just like think about at 3 a.m, you know, like, why do I love these movies, or what is wrong with me? But they're so awesome. Anyway, I looked away, that was my point. Dawn wasn't the worst kill. That goes to Ali in Terrifier 2. When someone's eyes getting sliced open is the best thing that happens to them. You know it's brutal. Terrifier 3 saves the most resulting kill for the end, and it's a real toe curler. Poor Aunt Jessica, tied to a chair with the plastic tube, the rats in the living room. But don't worry, no rat was harmed in the making of Terrifier 3, as Art slices her throat so they can all escape. I mean, at least he saves the animals. I mean, Jason didn't kill Muffin in Friday the 13th Part 2, so how does Leone create these scenes? What is his inspiration? In an interview with Dread Central, Leone talked about finding inspiration from real man-made inventions to bring pain and suffering. He said, let's show a kill scene that's really insane and not something you'll typically see in your average movie. So Leone, he researched medieval torture devices, and Bailey Sarian's Dark History actually did a few episodes which are super interesting, so I'll link them down below. Oh, side note, Rimmel have brought out Thrill Seeker in cappuccino. How pretty is that? Anyway, so Leone came across this method of sawing people in half with a giant saw and a guy at each end. The victim is hung upside down to ensure the blood flow is going to their heart to keep them alive long enough for the saw to reach their navel. I could have gone my whole life without knowing that. Now, Leone, he did take inspiration from real life true crime stories like Jack the Ripper, which I firmly believe was H.H. Holmes. I have watched so many programs on it. It was him. I am like 98.5% sure it's him. So, between August and November 1888, the Whitechapel district became the infamous site for the Jack the Ripper killings. Five women in total were murdered. The location was a slum with a high amount of poverty and prostitution. 5 women were confirmed as victims of London's elusive serial killer: Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Edwards and Mary Jane Kelly. While 4 of the women were savagely killed from abdominal and facial wounds, it happened outside on Cobblestone Alley, where Kelly's murder was inside, and it meant that the killer could stay longer without witnesses. So, Mary Jane Kelly was 25 and the last victim of the Ripper, and the most brutal. On the night of November 9th, 1888, she was attacked in her small ground floor room. There seemed to be defensive wounds on her hands, but what director Damien Leone focused on were the evidence photographs taken of Mary Jane's body. When the police discovered Kelly's body, she was horrifically disfigured. Organs and body parts were removed and rearranged around her body. The throat, like the other woman killed by Jack the Ripper, was violently sliced. Terrifier 2 added to the Jack the Ripper lore without directly alluding to a real-life killer. I think what makes Art such an iconic villain is how little is known about him. There is a throwaway joke in the beginning of Terrifier 3 which might have provided a real answer about Art's origin. So when a pair of demolition workers ventured into the house where Art and Vicky had been staying for 5 years, they were inspecting it before demolition. Seeing his partner's reaction, the crew leader spins a tale about a serial killer from the 1990s in the area who murdered over a dozen children and dumped their bodies in the fun house at the carnival, which is where the climax of Terrifier 2 occurred. And it's also where Art dies again. We all know that Art was human at one point. So, what if he is a serial killer in Terrifier? He dies. He is then resurrected, possessed with a demon, because he'd be the perfect vessel as a serial killer. Also, a young girl named Emily went missing in the area where Art's funhouse is located. Art's ally in the movie is a demon who manifests as a young girl, who then goes on to possess Victoria's body in Terrifier 3. So, a demon took the form of one of Art's former victims to lure in more victims because they would feel safer with a child, but that child is also dressed like him, so I don't think I'd feel safer. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to end. Art just seems super unbeatable, even with we've got the final girl. I don't know. And how is he going to top what we've already seen? Where else can he go with this? I'm so excited. So Terrifier 4 is confirmed to be in the works, and Leone promises to finally reveal Art's backstory. Leone stated the script for Terrifier 4 is underway and it's shaping up to be the most epic, horrifying, thrilling, emotional and satisfying conclusion to the Terrifier saga. I'm a little sad that this will be the end, but I'm excited. It's probably best to go out on top, and I asked this over on my social so they could do an art versus, a Freddy versus Jason, But who would they put against art? I want to know. Let me know in the comments. This has like kept me awake at night. I think Pinhead or the Collector. But then my partner said Ash from Evil Dead, and I thought that was really cool. So I just don't know. And you know, if Damien's ever looking for extras, I'm available. Just putting that out to the universe. But that is this week's horror movies inspired by. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Who would you put against art? Let me know. Which iconic horror villain would take him down? Anyway, I'll see you next week.